Today we're talking about active transport, which is the opposite of passive transport. So, active transport is transport of materials against a concentration gradient. So, instead of moving things from a high concentration area to a low concentration area, we're going to do the reverse. We're going to take it from the low concentration area and move it to the high concentration area. Now, this goes against the natural flow of chemicals. So, in order to do active transport, we have to use up energy. We can't just do active transport on its own without using energy. We have to actually use it in this process. So, when a plant is transporting minerals into its roots from the soil, and there's already a high concentration of minerals in the roots, it has to expend energy to do that. So it's only worthwhile if if what you're doing gets you more energy than what you're spending on it. This energy is actually made in the mitochondria. It's a chemical that we call ATP, and it's used by membrane transport proteins, which are able to bind on to a specific chemical and move it across the membrane. And then it's actually the cell membrane itself which stops it from moving backwards. The cell membrane, at least in most cases, is going to prevent the movement of that chemical that you just actively transported into the cell from going back outside the cell. So you can actually store stuff within cells pretty easily. There are a couple cases where things are able to escape again, but in those cases, it's intentional. And you'll see one of those very first thing in Biology 20 next year when we talk about photosynthesis, because plants actually use a system that kind of tricks hydrogen ions into doing extra work for them. So this is kind of what the process looks like. You will have a protein, which is this brown thing in the middle, and this is basically showing us different types of transport here. But you have a protein, and what it's going to do is it's actually going to be able to bind onto chemicals to move them across. So we've got three different proteins here. The first three are all of the passive transport we've talked about. So we have our channels, we have simple diffusion, and we have our gate proteins. But then we also have these active transport proteins down here in D. And we know this is active transport because we have lots of sodiums on this side and not a lot of sodiums on this side. The arrows going towards the side that does have lots of sodiums. So what this protein here is doing is it is actively pushing the sodiums from this low concentration area into this high concentration area. And in order to do that, it actually needs to expend energy in order to get them across, because really they want to go the other way. So that energy expenditure ensures that they go the way that the protein wants them to.